How high can ICP rally in 2025? In today's video, I'm going to be sharing my 2025 price prediction for ICP, sharing my thoughts and opinions as to where I think the price action is likely to go next year. As I get into today's video, if you do find it useful and informative, smash that like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe, and let's take a look at what's going on with ICP. So here we have ICP paired up with USDT, and we're on the 1 week Binance chart. Now, obviously, there's a lot of very interesting things that happened here in terms of its previous price action. A lot of people claim that essentially there was lots of manipulation from FTX as to why the price rallied up the way that it did. It was a perfect launch across multiple exchanges all at once, and it did drop by 99%. Okay, so although it had a great launch, it did obviously collapse down very aggressively with lots of various kind of things going on in the background. Now, since we hit the low at $2.82.7, we have seen a very interesting run to the upside and a bit of a cooling off since. Now, the price action is very interesting to me. We tapped into this previous area of resistance, okay, or support turn resistance, right up here at $19.56.8 to $27.49.6. This is important. If we want to be predicting out where we think the price action is going to go in 2025, we need to first of all figure out, are we done with the existing low structures, or is there more to the downside to come? And unfortunately, I do think we are likely to see more slippage to the downside for ICP. Our current swing low this year so far comes in at $5.81. And taking a look at our structures, I think we have the potential for just a little bit more to the downside first. I would like to be wrong on that, but I suspect that actually we're likely to see price action really come down a little bit deeper, more towards some of these interesting ranges of previous support resistance, right inside this little wedge at $4.50 to $4.98 approximately. Okay, it's possible that we even come down a little bit deeper, and I'll go ahead and just widen that scope just a fraction there, more towards the $4.26. Okay, so that's going to be an interesting pocket of support to potentially be found. If you can't find that as support, then we are talking about coming down even deeper, more towards $3.35 to $3.68, if I can talk and get the words out today. Okay, so these are the possible low points where we could see ICP's price action going before we get into the next big run. What that does mean, though, is that we are likely to hold this low at $2.82.7, meaning that's our bear market low point for ICP. Now, the good news / bad news, depending on how you want to look at it. We don't have a lot of history here. Okay, so there's not a lot to kind of go on in terms of where the previous price action was and where it's likely to go. The good news is that that means we're rewriting the history, and we potentially set the history up as we kind of continue here. The bad news is that without that, it's really hard to get a good, accurate kind of feed as to where the price action is going. So we're going to have to use a few of our kind of speculative tools to help us kind of figure out where things are going. Now, obviously, there's this really interesting range that I've previously spoken about up here at $42 to $67. This was another area of consolidation previously. So a retest of this area, I think, is something to also be thinking about. Now, if we measure this distance, which is a 5-wave structural point to the upside, and we put this on one of these existing low points. I'm going to put it down here on this low range. I'm going to put it right on about $4.30. Okay, and we can see here that there's going to be the idea of moving up to some of these key areas. Okay, so $31.90 to $51.19 is going to be the first pit stop where we think minimum expectations. And the reason for that is we think about a zigzag pattern, which is an A, B, C structure. Okay, so that'll be our minimum expectations, but it's possible that we actually get a breakout at the $110 range. If we can get up to $110, we are no longer in those kind of territory thinking that we're in a corrective pattern to the upside. Instead, we're more of an impulsive pattern to the upside, and that would be very bullish for ICP's price action. What that would look like would be something to this effect. We'd have a wave 1, this is a wave 2 coming down here, and $110 is our wave 3. Correction for a wave 4, and then we go up even further, bringing price back up into these higher ranges. Okay, so this is what we hope for. This is what we want to see for ICP. But of course, we have to be very aware that there's a few areas of resistance on that journey. The first pocket coming in down here at $19 to $27. Then obviously the 1.236 fib scales. Those are $31 to $51. And of course, that upper area of resistance of $42 to $67. If we can break through all of those things and hit $110, then we are very very impulsive to the upside, and we are trending out of this downward area. The other thing that's really interesting to me is the other kind of patterns that we could be analyzing within all of these charts. So if we were to have this breakout here, we could then start looking at that maybe as a cup and handle pattern, which would then also align with the idea of a fourth and fifth wave movement, as you can kind of see right here. So lots of kind of things to be thinking about for ICP. Some positives, some interesting negatives potentially, with in terms of price action still looking to slip on down a little bit deeper. But for the most part, we are still actually in a reasonable area for ICP, and ICP's price action and price prediction for the future does look very, very positive in my opinion. We obviously have to deal with lots of resistance, as we have seen historical areas in the price action that could potentially cause a bit of a problem. But for the most part, ICP's price action doesn't look too worrying to me. It's got a great accumulation area right now. I think we will have the ability to potentially accumulate more a little bit deeper, which I intend to do so. And then we are going to be looking for a fantastic run to the upside. Percentage terms, if we do take that kind of move out there, we're talking about 2,500% to $110, and we could be talking about 5,000% up to, maybe even $200 in the future, with the idea of maybe even going even stronger. So some great accumulation, I think, for ICP, some great percentage gains to be made. It will do better than many, but there will be others that will do better. But this is all about diversifying that portfolio and achieving those end goals that we have in mind. So for ICP, yeah, those are my kind of expectations. What are yours? Let me know in the comments down below, or join us in our free Discord server where we can discuss things in a little bit more detail. If you have found today's video useful and informative, smash that like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. And if you haven't done so yet, guys, check this video out here. It's not one you're going to want to miss.